Today we're going to talk about integrating your Dynamics 365 CRM with a phone system. And specifically in this case, we're going to talk about the Teams dialer. And so Jason Dovell here, our director of Dynamics 365, is going to share what he's done for customers in setting up the phone dialer with Teams and sharing some of the different configuration options. Jason, thanks for making the time to do this today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hi Pete. Hi everybody. I'm excited to show you guys this Teams dialer. I think it's a really great tool and it will help a lot of customers in the sales space as well as the customer service space.
Yeah, and with everybody using Teams these days, it's kind of a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's basically an enhanced collaboration for team members to easily access customer data while they're on the phone with the customer as well. So it's really amazing.
That's cool. So if you don't mind, let's just dive right in. And could you show what it looks like from a user standpoint, like how would they would access the dialer and how they would look up calls within
Yeah,
Dynamics?
no, definitely. So if we move over to my screen share that you can see, so what users would see is they would see on the right-hand side where your Copilot, and we'll talk about Copilot in the future, where that sits. You'll see there's a little phone call. So once it's set up, you should see that, and then you should see the chat in Teams here as well with your internal team members. So I'm going to open up this bar on the right-hand side, and you should then see your Teams dialer. So this is what the user would see. You can see this little block over here, and then they could basically dial from here by typing in the number, or it's fully integrated into your dynamic system. So if you click on a phone number on the left hand side, you can see there's a phone number that we have here. So if I press on this phone number, it's going to dial using the Teams dialer that's been set up.
I'm glad you showed that. I was going to ask if they have to type in the phone number every time, but if it's already set up, they can just go ahead and click the phone number.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Moving back as well, if I go to a list view, you could do it from a list view if it's set up like that. So you can see over here, I have all the phone numbers going down for all the companies. So if I were to click on a phone number, it's going to do a pop-up. I can quickly show you. Just it's going to call within Dynamics. So, and it's ringing
Interesting.
now in my ears. It's calling Jason Tesla. So he's just going to put down the phone and then, yeah, that's basically what it does.
That's pretty cool. What would it do? And you don't have to show it, you can just describe it. But what would it do if you called one of those numbers that didn't have all the digits?
So let's see what happens. I haven't tested that out yet. So let's see what happens. So I'm going to call this AdventureWorks one. It should fail, I would imagine. So
Sure.
let's go and see what.
Or maybe it's trying to call a local prefix.
Back to me in my ears and said that they couldn't complete the call. Please make sure you have the correct number format, and then also country code and everything needs to be in there as well. So +1 or +27 for South African. So it actually tells you that the phone number is not correct. So that's pretty cool.
That's nice. And like honestly, it's all part of good data policy. Like customers should be able to go through and make a review or report that just says, give me all my customers that don't have properly formatted phone numbers, and they can just go through and clean up those numbers if they want to use dialers more effectively.
Exactly, yeah. You could also put something on the phone number field that masks it and then it requires it in a certain format. So that really helps as well, so that when people enter phone numbers, it's always the correct format. So.
So just so if people miss that, just what Jason you're saying is we can actually kind of force data entry to follow a prescribed method of putting in a full phone number so that way they don't get bad data into their system. And I think a lot of people don't take advantage of those capabilities in Microsoft Dynamics to kind of make sure, there's that old saying, garbage in, garbage out. And like you can actually lock down so that garbage doesn't come into your system.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
Very cool. So this might be kind of a tricky question, but when I make the call with this, does it actually record the call? Because I know a lot of customers will ask for that, but I think that's a special feature, isn't it? Or will this actually record the like a voicemail almost and put it in the system?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Pete. So you can allow it to record, and then you can also specify, and I'll move towards that setup piece a little bit later, as where it stores the data. So yes, it can record, and it can also do conversation intelligence. So talking a little bit more about conversation intelligence, if I jump into a datum, I really want to, it gets me all excited. So I'm going to jump into a datum, and then I'm going to jump into a phone call. So you can see over here, this is the phone call that was made. And then
Okay.
I'm going to go into one that I made earlier with a colleague of mine, and I believe it's this one. Let me just double check.
While it's processing, I would like to say too, for anybody watching this video, that I think some localities have laws and rules about recording conversations. So you just want to make sure that both parties are in agreement if that's what your local laws stipulate. So just as a word of warning.
That is true. I want to add to that as well on the security side and the compliance. So it uses the Microsoft security standard. So it's ensuring that the customer data is handled during the Teams call is secure. That's really good having that as well. So, yeah. Okay,
Perfect.
so this is the phone call. So you can see over here, I went into a phone call. That's just a call to a datum corporation. So I called the colleague earlier. So what you would then see is a call summary. So on the right-hand side, you can see the call that was made. You could see the full summary. It basically brings up the exact same thing. This one just doesn't have any because it was that failed phone call to the wrong number. But essentially, it looks like this. So the call summary, you'll have the overview. So the overview gives you basically who you called. It gives you the longest monologue as well that was done. You could add tags. Let's say you were talking about a certain order. You could tag the order there, or you could tag basically anything you want, anything that makes this call unique. It might be a sales call. It might be customer service related as well. So, and this is free to.
That's really a cool feature. So then I assume I could search on tags. So like I could say, give me all of my calls about a certain product over the last month. Like somewhere in the system, I'd be able to do a view or search for
Yep,
that.
exactly. And you can search based on those tags as well. Yeah.
Very
Okay.
cool. Okay. And what's that at the very bottom? Is that the actual phone call? Like, is it showing who's speaking
Yeah,
when?
exactly. So this is, I'm the system administrator, and then the cell phone number is Jason. So I spoke to him, and then it
Hmm.
basically shows where I spoke. You can see I spoke a lot, and then he didn't speak as much as I did.
That's like one of my calls.
Exactly. So the nice thing about this recording is it actually tags the positive, the neutral, and then the negative of when you talk to a customer as well. So you can quickly jump to it. So if I were to want to jump at the positive stuff, I can click on this little blue thing and it jumps in my transcript, and I can say, all right, Microsoft, I see what you're doing. So you can see that's something that we said, and it's positive because we are seeing what Microsoft's doing with this Teams dialer. We actually discussed the Teams dialer on the call. So
That's really cool.
you can also jump.
So it gives you like kind of a 50,000 foot overview of the sentiment. And if you had a really bad call and you need to like call in the management to help you out and parse through it, they could just jump to those hot spots faster without having to listen to the whole conversation.
Exactly, and that's really cool. So you don't have to listen to the whole thing, and especially when you have a call that's an hour long or something like that. Hopefully, we don't have calls that's an hour long, but you do get some sometimes, especially when the customer is very interested. And yeah, okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, so I'm curious, are there other features I mean, already this is blowing my mind, to be honest. Like Microsoft is just doing a great job, and a lot of these features I think are just continually being improved. So it's going to be really interesting to see where things go with Copilot and whatnot. But are there other features that you want to show before we dive into some of the
yeah,
options?
no, definitely. So I want to talk to you about the conversation intelligence. I'll get to them now. That's at the mentions. So just quickly as notes. So when you're on the call, you could actually type notes while you're on the call, and it will be added to the call summary as well. So that's a really cool function that you have. You can see over here action items. So action items is basically when I mention on the call, listen, Pete, I'm going to give you a call next week, or I'll just remind me to call you next week. And then that can be an action item. So I could basically add it as an action item that you can see there. I mentioned system administrator will give the number or Jason then a call later. So that's an action item, so that can
Can,
be a task.
I have clarification. Did it put that action item in? Did the AI put the action item in automatically, or did you add that action
So
item
I
in?
have the option to add it. So I just clicked add into the notes as well, and then I can save it. So it basically tags the action items in the call, and then you can manually add them, the ones that you want.
Is the AI already doing that too, though? Because I know there's the Copilot for Teams, and it will summarize some of the action
Oh, yeah.
items. Can it do that here yet, or is that coming?
I believe it can do it here yet. It can do it over here. So when there's action items, it should be able to add it automatically. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. It's really, really amazing. So if I hit save now, that's added to my notes. And then over here on the action items over here, you can see this is the new call suggestion that the AI gives me as well. I can give it a subject. I can then, so I'll just say call later. This one I'm going to do manually now. And then I can say to system administrator from, I can set a date over here. I can say, well, let's do it the 16th. And then I can say create an edit or create a task. So if I say create a task, it then creates a task for next week. So that's one of the action items.
And that's going to put that on your calendar for your to-dos so you don't miss it. Or you could assign it to an assistant, like if one of the action items was send them the proposal or send them the contract to sign, and you send that to an assistant, they could send that out.
Exactly. Yeah, you could do that. You could also specify, I could say the client might have requested a meeting with you, Pete, and then I could say, and then the action item is it's for Pete, so then it's on your to do for next week to give the customer a call. So
I have to be totally transparent here, Jason. Why the heck aren't I using this right now in our Dynamics? Because we use Dynamics to the hilt, and we aren't using this yet. I think after this call, the next step is to set this up so I can start using it on my sales
I agree.
calls.
I think it would really be beneficial for us to use as well. The next thing
It's really
I
cool.
think is going to excite you even more, and it's to do with the conversation insights. So that's been set up. So you could set up for the AI to listen for different mentions and tags. So if you mention a competitor or the client mentions a competitor, it tags it. And then you can actually go to that piece in the recording and it can say, well, this is where we mentioned a competitor. So it might be, and I'm not going to name any competitors now, but yeah, if I mention the name of a competitor, it basically flags it. The same with brands as
That's so
well.
cool.
So if it picks up that you mentioned brands, so you could see we mentioned Microsoft and it picks it up. You can also do people. So I mentioned your name, Pete, and then it basically picks it up as well. And you can go to where I mentioned your name and, well, spoke about you in this. I'm not going to play the recording for you, but you get the idea. So, yeah.
This is just insanely cool technology, and I'm really glad you took the time to show this to me, and to hopefully the audience is loving this too. Like this is honestly game changing,
Yeah.
and it like this alone can create so much efficiencies both in service centers but also in sales processes. Like, wow, my wheels are like spinning like a million miles an hour here with like how the much value this
Yeah.
offers.
I'm glad it excites you. It's really amazing. One other thing that I want to mention that I found really cool is if you're a salesperson and you need to sell somebody something and you need card information. So let's, for example, we want to process a CRM in a can order or a Easy Buttons order, and they give us their card information. The nice thing is you could set it up so that in the transcript it blurs out the credit card information. When it's
Smart.
printed or something like it's not available, it basically encrypts it. So that's really cool. That's something that I found very interesting as well.
I think down the road too, if people want to take credit cards, they should use an e-commerce platform.
I
But
agree.
if you are doing it over the phone, that's a really good
Yeah,
feature. That's a really good feature.
I completely agree. Yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to show you. You can see the transcript on the right is the transcript where we spoke, and then again at the bottom it's the recording for both. You can also add people to the call.
Oh, so once you've called one person, you could like just group chat other, like you group call other people and add them in. That's really cool.
Exactly, yeah. So it's in preview currently. If I jump from here, I don't know if you mind if I jump just to a quick setup and I want to show you it's just one screen. That's where you set that up. It's basically here. You can see it's still in preview. So add people to calls. That's one of the features that you could set up. And then that allows you to add additional people to the call. You could also do transfer calls, still in preview, but then you could send it to different salespeople, or you could transfer it to a different phone number as well, which is really cool.
I have to say, with those preview features, people listening should know, like when they're in preview, it doesn't necessarily mean they will always go live, but some of these features are pretty standard, common features that Microsoft knows customers need. So my guess is these features probably will go live at some point. This is just shows, again, like one of the things I tell people about the benefits of Microsoft is like they're just investing so much in improving this technology for all of us who use it, and that includes us here at Azamba. But this stuff is just so cool already. So are there other options that you wanted to show or describe in here?
Not at the moment, no. This is just the main switching it on for Dynamics to be able to get it in that bar on the right. So this is the main thing that you need to switch on. And then you can enable it for certain security roles. I think that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about. You don't have to have everybody use this. You could maybe just set it up for customer service or just for sales, depending on your need. So you could do that as well, and it can be there for certain security roles in your Dynamics environment.
I have a question about that, Jason. So why would I not set it up for everybody in my company? Is there like a cost to this? Is it like, is this an additional cost? I mean, obviously you need the Teams dialer
Yeah.
plan, but I think that's pretty inexpensive from what I recall. So like, why would I limit this only to service people or sales
So
people?
it might be on your dependent on your specific needs. So you might have the queue set up and then it's a customer service queue. So you don't have it set up for sales. You might set it up later for sales. So then you only enable it for the customer service security role, I would say. So yes, there is a cost link to it. You might also run out of licenses. So you might have only purchased it for your customer service team, and then you only want it for that security role because you don't want your service team running into the issue with not being able to answer calls because salespeople are using it at the moment by using the numbers and dialing.
I see. And when you say it, you're talking about the Teams
Yeah,
dialing plan. Like you could have 50 people in Dynamics and only have 10 Teams dialer
exactly.
plans
Yeah.
available. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Are there other setup options that you wanted to share?
Yeah, let me show you the conversation intelligence setup. So I'm going to go, and this is within your sales insight settings. So at the bottom, you can see sales insights and then conversation intelligence. So this is where you set up the fun things. You set up your recording policies. So I just did a recording policy for all security roles, and it automatically records everything. This is what you've mentioned earlier with the recording, like it could be set up based on certain policies as well. So this one is switched on. Call recording storage. You can see over here, you just use Microsoft provided storage. You might have an Azure that's private and nobody can access it. Then basically you could set it there. So then the recordings goes there. Business settings. This is where all the fun things comes in. So this is the conversation tracking. Like I can track competitors or competition that I'm talking about, and then I can track keywords as well. And you can specify what you want to track when they're mentioned. So it just makes it a lot easier. You can also do different languages. So if languages are spoken, it can translate it as well.
Hmm.
So that's something you could do.
This is amazing. It's very robust. You mentioned something though that it triggered a question for me. You said this is in the sales insights area. Do you know which license of Dynamics this require? Does this require
I
sales
unfortunately
premium?
don't know. I don't think this requires sales premium though. I think it's just set up in here to track the insights and track the
I see.
recordings. I don't, yeah, I can confirm though.
What we'll do is we'll figure out which licenses and we'll put it in the description for the show notes, just so people are clear on what license is required for these features. Most of our customers we're recommending Sales Enterprise right now, but a feature like this honestly could pretty easily pay for itself if they wanted to go to the next level up too.
Completely agree.
This is really cool. So are there other setup configuration options that you wanted to
Not at the moment. It's just new and upcoming features. That's pretty cool. And in preview, again, it's in preview. Like voicemail contact is unavailable. You could set up like recordings that basically, once the contact's not available or it goes to a voicemail, it can do certain things. Or let's say, for example, you call a customer and it goes to voicemail, it then leaves an automatic message or something like that. Yeah.
I have a related question, and you might not know the answer, and that's okay. We could save it for a future video. But what if I did a video call? would it only record the audio piece from that? Because obviously the transcript is going to be the transcript, but would it store the video elements of it as well?
So and if I go back, so this dialer only allows for voice calls. It doesn't allow for video calls in here.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And a related question, is it only for on-demand calls? Like, could I have a scheduled call with you and then hit the record button, or is it only if I dial you here and now with the
So
dialer?
I'll have to confirm. I believe it's only if I dial you here now, or if you dial the number, and then it pops up on our side. So, but I'll have to confirm.
I'm not in the Microsoft product development team, but I have to imagine down the road that they're going to try to hook this in because some of these elements are already being done with the Copilot in Teams calls. I have to imagine like at some point these things dovetail together for those scheduled calls as well. I hope they go that route because as a customer, I would love that.
Yeah.
And when we have these meetings to record those conference calls that are scheduled meetings would be awesome.
Yeah. No, I think it would be. I think it would really benefit the customer as well. So I'll test it out and I'll keep my eye out for anything in preview. So
Yeah. And let's face it, Microsoft just keeps coming at these things with more and more features all the time. So I'm sure we'll do a follow-up video to this in probably like 6 months when they've added 5,000 new features.
yeah, no, I'm excited about it.
So yeah, this is awesome, Jason. Really appreciate it. Do you have any other parting comments before we call it a day?
I do not. I think that's everything from my side, Pete. Thanks.
Well, I really appreciate it. I can't wait to get this implemented for us selfishly, and hopefully some of our customers are out there or prospects are seeing this and saying, wow, I need this. So thank you very much for sharing this. This was awesome.
Anytime. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening in.
Yeah, and subscribe for future content. We're going to be doing more of these, so hopefully you'll stay tuned into the channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.